The following is a production of the University of Hartford School of Communication.
Hello, it's me, Kupe with Scoop. We got a great interview today. We got my cousin Evan, and we got my friend Ryan here, who is, I thought I was the only sports fan who was insane, really, with just being a fan. But luckily, there's more people like me. And this is Ryan. Tell people where you go to school, what's your major, and how old are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Diamond. I'm 20 years old. I'm a journalism major at the University of Kansas. I'm a sophomore studying journalism. And like
And you're
Alex
also,
said, I am a
yeah.
crazy Rockets fan. Look, if there's 1,000 Rockets fans, I'm one of them. If there's 100, I'm one of them. If there's 10 of them, I'm one of them. If there's one, I don't exist and Alex doesn't exist.
Correct.
So here we are.
And you are also a writer for Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, I do write for Rockets on SI as well. So if you want to go check out some of the articles, you can go look at them. You can go look at some of them over there.
Yeah, guys got the plug and everything. Jeez. Okay. Um, well, as a writer, would you call yourself an editor?
No, writer.
Writer. Yeah, yeah. What was the breaking point or the moment you realized, I know this stuff. I actually know it. I can do this for a living type. Like, I'm this good. How did you feel when you first had that realization?
I don't know when I first had that realization. I think the moment, like, with journalism, a lot of it is you can't have bias and you can't have this and that. So, writing for my favorite team, it's like having to write without bias has definitely become a challenge, but it's also become something that has taught me a lot about the industry. And I think the moment I realized I could do this was my publisher, editor, boss, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
He asked me to write a 500-word essay. This is at like 11:30 p.m. as like my practice, or like to see if I'm good enough for the job. And I called him a few days later. He's like, yeah, he was like, well, you're like my first guy. Like, we want you on out of all the other applicants. I really liked your writing, but when we go forward with this, there can't be any bias. And so I asked him, well, was there any bias in that first article that I wrote, like a practice one? He goes, nah, I didn't see any bias. So
Huh?
I think, when I wrote my first article about the Rockets, about minutes and who's going to play what role, this was before the season started, and he said there was no bias. That's when I realized I think I could do this.
Yeah. And how many times in high school you and I became friends because we both went on
Yeah.
that big bench trip.
Yeah.
Um, what were some things that you would talk to me? We would talk a lot and just about sports or just about like what we can get into because you and I both kind of didn't know where to go in college because we had all this fandom and this knowledge, but like we
Yeah.
didn't know where to use it. So what were some things from high school that maybe you saw from me or that you saw from other people that like made you want to be like, let me pursue this. Like, let me see what I can do with
Well,
this.
I saw that you had started your blog. What was it, like A Cooperman or whatever? The NBA Thoughts blog.
NBA
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you had started that, and you asked me if I wanted to join with you, and I did, and I would never look back on it to this moment. So I think
That,
that you had that same passion as me, especially being a Rockets fan as well, and wanting to also write. It made me more motivated to do it myself as well.
in 30 seconds, give me your issue with the Rockets right now in the playoffs because I know we could spend minutes on it or
Jalen
hours
Green,
on it.
hierarchy. The Rockets don't have a closer. There's no hierarchy. This is a everyone eats team. Anybody can go off any given night. Last night it was Fred, but Fred has played terribly the rest of the series, right? Jalen Green went off this game too. I was there. That was a great environment, but nobody else on the team played amazing.
Mhm.
Game one, Alperen Sengun. Who else played well? Jalen Green had 7 points or 9 points, whatever it was, right? There's no hierarchy.
So it's just either this or this.
It's that anybody can go off on any given night, but we don't have a single closer.
Correct. And one more thing I'd like to ask you. If you could talk to a younger self, younger Ryan, maybe in high school, with all the stuff that you know now, with all the
Mhm.
experience you have with journalism and all this, was there anything you would change about your journey, or are you, you know,
I
what
don't
would you
know if
say,
there
or
was,
what would you say to yourself?
I don't know if there's anything that I would have changed my journey. I think I would have told myself just to to continue being a hard worker.
Yeah.
because that's how I see myself. I think that you have to make sacrifices in order to be successful. And I think as a younger version of mine, I wish I would have told myself, make that sacrifice.
Yeah, because I don't think we knew how serious this was. I don't
Right.
think we knew how real we could really make this opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wish I told myself to make that sacrifice of social life or doing this or doing that in order for me to work harder in journalism.
Yeah, for sure. Like for me in high school, I wasn't involved. I think you remember that. And like
Mhm.
I was just kind of just floating around, which is cool, which is fine. But like I think in right now in college, I want to be really, really just involved. I want to do as much as I can. I want to try as much as I can, more
That's
than
what I'm
anything.
saying. Exactly. And I think something I've realized in college is it's not about the work you do in school, it's about the work that you do outside of school as well. Are you showing yourself that you can do the writing? Are you showing companies that you're, what's the word? They they can look at you and be like, yeah, this is someone that's going to get the work done.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I
That's
see
all
it.
that matters.
I agree with you. Are
That's
you
all that matters.
consistent? Are you reliable? Can you get the work done?
Yeah.
Are you trustworthy? That's what I wish I had told myself in middle school, high school.
Here's a good question I have for you. Let me ask this. Obviously you and I were very biased as Rockets fans,
Mhm.
but besides just excluding the Rockets, what's one thing you think that's great about the NBA right now? Just one thing that you think
Physicality.
is great.
Physicality is coming back. I think something that's great about the NBA right now is Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, once LeBron is out of the league, once the people that we grew up watching, Curry, LeBron, James Harden, once they're all gone, Anthony Edwards is what's going to keep this league getting views because he is a dog.
Yeah.
Him and Wemby are the people that will continue to
I
have
was
this.
hoping you'd name him. Maybe he's also a dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Man,
He's
I met
crying at his
Wemby
first
like
Olympics.
2 years ago. That dude's tall, man.
Yeah, no
It's
shit.
crazy.
He was crying at his first Olympics. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like 19.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say, like, I love to see the physicality from Anthony Edwards going against LeBron like he did the other night. A player that can come and rise like that, that's what the NBA needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
What
what
would
I'm
you
saying.
say? Keep going.
Now, what were you saying?
What would you say is one thing that there's many things, but what would you say is one thing about the sports journalism world that you've experienced that do you either really like or don't like?
I'll tell you what I really like about it and an
Yeah.
aspect that people wouldn't like.
Okay.
I like how you start off with the pay being low because it gives you something to work towards and be hungry for.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like the feeling of having to grind for what I want, of having to know there's only one way or no way. Do
Yeah.
or die.
Yeah. Because
That's what I really love about it.
sometimes you start high and then you need to
You know,
sometimes be able to go down to earth.
I
Go down
had
to
somebody ask me a few weeks ago, what's your backup plan or do you have a backup plan? I was like, no, why would I? Why would I have a backup plan? That means that I won't be successful. I love the grit and grind of journalism. That you have to do it or you don't do it at all. That's why it's one of the most regretted degrees because
Yeah.
you either do it or you don't.
Cutthroat.
Yeah, it's cutthroat, and that's what I really love about it.
Yeah.
I love the work ethic it teaches us.
It's great. I mean, it's good answers, man.
I appreciate it.
That's
You got
all I
any-
got. You got any questions for me?
Well, no, wait a minute. Alex, you got to tell your cousin about your award.
This isn't my cousin.
Hi, Ryan. Sorry you're not his cousin. But this
All
guy,
good, man.
this guy
You can
just
tell
got
them
an
about
award
it.
yesterday.
What's the award?
She awarded me Podcaster of the Year.
Let's go.
She awarded me. It's a surprise award, apparently.
Let's go, bro. That's huge, man.
I can.
Alex Cooperman, Cooper the Scoop. That's awesome, man. I'm proud of you, bro.
Thanks, man.
That's so sick.
We were at the ceremony,
what's
just like
what's
waiting
been-
the entire time.
What's
And,
been your favorite topic you've talked about on your podcast?
What's been my favorite topic? Probably just the mindset of some of the basketball athletes. Like when our team is not very, very good, it's
Mhm.
their mindset of just like keep going, like realizing like we're not the best, but we have to keep our heads up.
Right. No, exactly. And I think that's a great way to look at it. I mean, you could look at that in basketball or you can look at it in journalism or like you can look at it in different ways in both, right? like I said, journalism is a green grind. You have to keep your head up because if you don't, you're gonna fall. Same with
Yeah.
basketball. You know that video? It's I think it was Jalen Hands, and there was a center at UCLA, and he picked his head up because he wasn't playing well. You know, it's things
Yeah,
like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
you know the exact clip I'm talking about, right? That I think that is something that you can use for every aspect in your life. Keep your head up, man.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta let my cousin in, but I love you. I love you, Ryan. Good talking to you.
Love you too. We'll talk soon. Peace, bro.
Catch up with you after.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace. We got a very, very special, very, 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 very many varies special guest. It's my cousin, my bloodline. That's a weird thing to say. Um, this is Evan Sack. He's McLennan. Am I saying it right?
Yep, McLennan Junior College. Very short stint there.
Former McLennan baseball athlete. And we're gonna ask you some questions about that, dude.
Sure. Excited to be here.
First off, say it again.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, man. We've been trying to get you for weeks. I'm just kidding. Evan Sack, a 5-star baseball recruit, coming in at 6'2", 215 pounds, batting .481 with a .592 on base percentage, 16 doubles, 4 home runs, a school record of 43 RBIs, 28 runs scored, and 19 walks in his 2017 season before the playoffs. Before
Yeah.
the playoffs, Evan made it apparent to me that that's correct. Evan was ranked in the top 35th nationally for one stat, top 2 in Texas for one stat, and top in TAPS for 2 stats. The website didn't tell me what stats, which would have been helpful, but
I could probably tell you off the top of my head.
Go for it, please.
I think it's RBIs, probably hits and batting average, probably.
Okay.
The glory
Perhaps
days,
even more.
you know?
Perhaps even more impressive, Sack only struck out 3 times in 79 at bats during that year. Do you remember that?
I remember 2 of them, that's for sure. One of them was versus a guy who's pitching in the big leagues now, so I feel good about it.
It turns out to be the Derek Jeter. It's pretty impressive, China.
Yeah,
All
there
right,
you go.
so you are on record. That's right, you're a celebrity. You're on record for saying, begin quotes, "I couldn't be happier with my decision. I will get to play for one of the top teams in the country." What you're so much happier. I feel like working in real estate, doing your thing, and just living your life. Like, not to say that you weren't happy as an athlete, but you just seem flow better. That's really all it is. How do you
Yeah,
think? Was it hard to get to that mindset?
I think that when you're in high school and you are playing as committed and as serious as I was
Right.
to a sport, as a 15, 16, 17, 18-year old, I think, yeah, you're still a kid, right? And I think
Yeah.
that as you grow up, you have different aspirations. And I think that as I, kind of started playing, because if you remember correctly, I was supposed to go to FIU, Florida International in Miami. I committed there as a sophomore in high
Right.
school. And so I was committed there until I was, going into my senior year of high school. And, the coaching staff got fired. Turtle
And
Thomas, the
that
head
led you
coach, got
to
fired. And
led
the
you to go
recruiting
somewhere else.
coordinator, Mark Kurtanian, was fired as well. And, they both got jobs in the minor league system, for the MLB. And, so that left me going into my senior year with a bunch of recruiting spots already taken. I mean, I visited the Oklahomas and Texas Techs and, yada, yada. But those spots were taken. And so I opted to go the JUCO route, junior college route, to a great school in McLennan. And,
Sure.
it's a big development and transitional. Those years are are very developmental and transitional. And, from being 17 to 19 years old, you really start to realize what's important and, what your life is going to look like. And when you're a college athlete, I think I speak for a lot of college athletes, you are an athlete first.
Yeah.
I mean, you're obviously a student as well, but, there's very minimal social activities and social life that you have, and that's just kind of what comes with it, right? So
Yeah.
I think that it was just a a change in what I wanted to do, and I think that just comes with growing up and just developing as not only a person, but as a human as well. I think being happy is very important, and not being you know committed to practice every day, and just all the things that come with being a college athlete, just kind of it switched up on me. So that's a long answer, but
It's good. That's what I expected. So to follow up on that answer, though, what would you say are some of the things? Obviously, you loved collegiate baseball and competitive baseball. Obviously, you did. But what are some of the things that you're happy that you don't have to experience now? Like what? The ice baths? I don't know, the long,
what I'm
anything like
happy
that?
what I'm happy I don't have to experience now.
Like what are you
um
like now? Like you like, man,
yeah,
those
right,
guys
yeah.
this must suck to have to do that.
No, I mean, I think that, again, a lot of those guys don't, they're not able to, be a regular college kid. And, there's sacrifices, with both,
Sure.
with both routes. I think that,
Mhm.
when you're a college athlete, you get, the quote unquote fame, and you get the official college gear, and you get the recognition. But as just a regular college student, you get the freedom to go out to dinner with your friends and wake up when you want to wake up because you're a college kid. And you're
Right.
able to to study as much as you want to because you need to pass this test. You don't have to practice at 8 a.m. So I think that
Yep.
there's pros and cons of both, at the end of the day. And so it's just a matter of how you want to do it. And I wanted to do it a certain way, and I decided I wanted to do it another way, when I got there. So,
And Evan, to me, it just sounds like this way you have way more freedom.
well, it's a different lifestyle, right? I realized that
Totally.
I didn't need baseball. I had passions
Mhm.
in real estate and, other business ventures, and passionate about, the friendships that I have with my friends and family, and, the freedom to take trips and do this and that, so it's different. But
Yeah.
I've got friends that are in the major leagues now, and they did it their way. I did it my way.
Yeah.
So you know
I love this. That's the reason that I want to do this podcast because there's been many times I've been talking to athletes that go to my school, and they're like, either like, I don't really want to talk. I don't want to be on podcast. I'm just scared of the camera. Which I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I get it. Some of them are like, I don't really want to go pro, and I'm like, really? Like, it's very shocking to me. And they're like,
Hmm.
I just want more freedom once I get. I want to have fun, but I want more freedom once I get out of here.
Hmm.
And you know, hearing that for the first time was like, I guess just I was very shocked. I was like, you don't want to go pro? But then they were
Hmm.
like, no, I mean, I'm just enjoying life, and then gonna take my route, see where life takes me.
Right.
I've been grateful to talk to and interview a lot UR athletes, and some of them are tough to schedule here. Some of them it's tough to schedule with even to do it just like podcasts. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, they're all either full all in on going pro, or they know that they want to play for a few years until their eligibility is out.
Right. Yep.
It's so
I've got,
interesting to
yeah.
me.
Right. Yeah.
It's so interesting because they're just playing for fun. They're just, like kind of just enjoying it, and then, then they get then the light switches.
Right.
And my last question for you: how different is your life now as a non-athlete who plays competitive golf? I've seen you play
Yep.
competitive golf.
That's where I am now.
You, this guy, I hate people. You're good at every sport, and it just kills me. I don't hate it. I'm just kidding. But how different would you say? Like, do you ever like I don't know go play anything besides golf? I don't know. I'm sure you work out, but like
I mean,
even tennis.
I play a bunch of tennis. I'm in a I'm in a men's league 3 nights a week for basketball. So the competitive urge is definitely still there. I
And
find
here's a good
myself.
question. If I don't mind, if you don't mind me cutting
Yeah,
off,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how has playing the sport changed for you since you don't do it competitively?
Well,
You
I
do it
don't play.
competitively,
Yeah,
but
well,
you don't do it for like your school. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, I don't play baseball anymore. I've played a couple softball games. That's really it.
Right.
Um, but I played competitively in high school. Hoops. But those that league gets competitive. But I just sometimes I miss it, man. I miss competing and just getting out there,
Right.
whether it's golf or tennis or pickleball or basketball. It's that competitive urge will always be within me. Whether that's in business or in sports. So
I mean,
yeah,
that competitive edge, you can use it. You can use those little mentally game. That's maybe, it's kind of like the place where you want to.
right. So I think that just being a part of whether it's a basketball team or a baseball team, it it teaches you life lessons along the way. Whether that's accountability, how to be a teammate. There's a whole laundry list of items that I can go into, but that is there's it's not just about winning or and losing and doing that whole song and dance. It's about kind of how you learn and what you learn along the way.
Okay. All right. I got something for you that'll take a minute. What would you say is one thing about transitioning from being an athlete to being a regular person, like you said, like what is like what would you say are the things that you miss the most and the things that you are fortunate that you don't have to deal with? Like, would you say being a
Right,
regular
yeah.
person?
I don't, I'm not dealing with that anymore, because I was 18, 19 years old, when I made the switch from just being a regular college or from being a college athlete to, just a regular college student. Um, I think that what changed was, I mean, it all happened so quick. I mean, it feels like
Yeah.
25 years ago, but,
You are old.
I'd say that, the, just the freedom to do whatever I wanted, whether that's go out to a party and be a college kid, whether that's to go home to Houston to visit my family, whether that's to not work out every single morning and eat a hamburger. It's a huge commitment being a college athlete. And so when you're 18, 19 years old and you're at the University of Texas and you're not playing any sports, it's pretty easy to have fun and get distracted. But I mean, it's
Yeah,
just the overall commitment of just having the freedom to do what you want, when you want. So,
totally. Last question. I want you to do it quickly because I don't want you to think about it. Name one person from the Emory Wieners baseball team, from the state championship team. Name someone who you remember the most fondly. Your favorite person from that team.
favorite person from that team.
5, 4,
Got to be
3.
Michael Talisman. Got
Michael
to be Michael
Talisman.
Talisman.
Shout out Michael Talisman.
He was our
Talisman.
he was our designated pinch runner and probably the most important person in the clubhouse.
Besides you, apparently.
No, no.
Maybe Gabe Sondog as well.
Right. Yep. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Evan. I love
Now,
you.
you're gonna let him go about telling one embarrassing story about you. Come on, just one embarrassing story about Alex.
I'm on the tennis team. Did you know that?
One embarrassing story about Alex. God, I don't know one embarrassing story. I'm sure I could think of something that I probably shouldn't say on camera.
Oh,
But
God.
no,
No,
Thank
don't.
you, Evan.
Alex
Thank you.
is. Yeah, thank you guys.
I can
Alex,
tell you.
you're
I can tell you one.
Alex, you're a stud.
I'm
Thank
on the
you.
Evan. I'm on the tennis team. Did you know that?
Yes, you told
There
me
was
that.
one time. There was one time I was in lift in the morning, and just wasn't feeling it. And 10 minutes left. I had to go to the trash can, and that was it. I'm not gonna say what happened on camera, but like,
Right, right,
but
right.
like everyone else was working out, and then I was just there, just letting it all out. And yeah, it was. Ice pack on my head, shirt off. Just
That's what you call being an athlete.
that was the moment I realized I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. I got to jump.
All right, man. I love you. Talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye bye.
I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank everyone also that's done the podcast with me. It's been Kosi, it's been Jared, it's been the other Jared, it's been Colin did it, it's been Imoni, Coach Jeff, Coach Toomey also, and just anyone else I'm forgetting because camera's in front of me, and when camera's in front of you, you forget everything. But you forget everything. I appreciate everyone that was involved with it, that helped with it. I'm going to try to interview the manager of the podcast studio. You guys haven't seen her yet, so I'm going to try to do that, see if we can. But
How much money you got? How much money you got? We'll see.
We'll talk about that off camera. With this metal, we can sell it back. But we might have to put that in consideration. Also, just for the fun of it, like, I should talk about this. Why not? The manager of the podcast studio will remain mysterious, I guess. Awarded me the Podcaster of the Year award yesterday, and I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful for it. It's very cool.
You earned it, my friend.
And thank you. All right, so we'll see you next time.
This has been a production of the University of Hartford School of Communication.